Welcome to That's a Word with Marcia and Gino. I am Gino Morrow,
And I am Marcia Williams Cromer.
and we begin each conversation with intention, one word at a time. As always, let's just jump into it. Marcia, speak your word.
Hello, Gino. So good to see you as always.
You too, sis.
So, you know what? I'm just going to kind of bring something in that we started talking about offline. I think it's so interesting. And it's just, we always have our sidebar conversations. And in this one, we started talking about our love for words again. And just the idea that, some of the words that we choose, you look at them, you kind of marinate and live with them for a little while. And then you start thinking about how amazing it is that we went from, being cavemen to being people who actually needed to move beyond a grunt to be expressive and to share information and communicate. And then as the times moved forward, just think about how much language meant to, folks in, let's say, the 14th, 15th, 16th century, back in the days when you really could not show who you were or how what you even had, your status in life, your station in life,
hmm
other than to be well versed.
hmm hmm
I think it's interesting stuff. I think it's interesting. But anyway,
No, that takes me. I'm not going to deviate from your word, but man, that takes me down a whole nother conversation because sounds used to be the root of communication, and there were
right.
things that could be communicated in sounds that were lost in verbal translation or in the creation of words. So, like if you take, for example, some of the ancient African languages that use clicks,
Hmm.
like that's like there's a whole
Absolutely.
communication going on,
Absolutely.
and not a word is spoken.
Right.
So the
Right.
power
It
in
sounds.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Marsha. It was just taking me there.
It's all good. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so today my word is salubrious, and I will spell it. It's Salubrious. I like that word so much, the way it kind of rolls off your tongue, salubrious.
Salubrious.
It is an adjective, and the definition is favorable to or promoting health or well being. It can describe physical health, but it may also refer to a place that is pleasant and agreeable, such as a health spa, in a picturesque location, right?
hmm
The etymology of the word, it dates back to the 1540s
hmm
from the Latin salubris, meaning promoting health, healthful, which itself derives from salus, okay?
hmm
Meaning welfare, health, tracing back to the Proto-Indo-European root of soul, meaning whole or well kept. It was originally applied to foods and medicines.
Mm.
Its use in reference to air and climate appeared by the 1610s. And just as a sentence, I could use it in a sentence for you. The doctor recommended a move to a more salubrious climate to help with her respiratory condition.
Mm.
One more. Babe Ruth credited the natural hot springs baths with having a salubrious effect on him
Mm.
during spring training.
Mm.
And something that I also thought was interesting is like a fun connection. The words salute and salubrious share the same Latin ancestor, salus. When we raise a glass to say to your health, we're
Ooh.
drawing on that same root.
Ah,
Salubrious is my word.
salubrious. So, what experiences have you encountered that aligns with that philosophy or idea?
I think of all of the travel that I've done and
hmm
the places that I've found myself. And I will use one in particular that could work both ways, to positive health as well as to detrimental health. And that was a trip I took to Aspen, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were at the resort, and there's a wonderful spa there, great massages, like salt baths, the sauna, all that good stuff.
Uh-huh.
And when we went into the spa, we're at like the serving desk with the folks who bring you back into the center.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sign there that said respiratory therapist available on duty, whatever. And I was like, okay, what is that all about?
Right.
The altitude made it difficult for some people to stay up that high and breathe. And there were folks, I asked the question because I'm nosy like that, and I
Mm-hmm.
asked the question like, why? What is? I mean, never seen that. What's the reason other than altitude? And they were like, yeah, the altitude is such that they literally bring in a respiratory therapist to work on people to help them gain the equilibrium or the balance within their breathing. But it gets to a point where there are folks who they can't help with them being at that altitude and have to send them back down the mountain.
Yeah. So
That's amazing. So to me, when I thought of this word, I was like, there have been so many places in the world that I've had the opportunity to feel that it was a cathartic, health promoting
yeah.
location, right?
Yeah.
That was one of them. I did not have any issues with being in Aspen at all. But at the same time, health is something that is important to me. So intentionally, I try to do saunas and hot houses and things like that, because those are really for centuries have been great ways of gaining salubrious support, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So if you've had positive experiences that align with the definition of salubrious, and yet on the other side of that coin, at the experience in Colorado, I look at it as well, okay, let me just say, I wonder what the antonyms are for salubrious, because in a moment, in a space that could be salubrious and positive, at the same time, people obviously have some issues with breathing in that altitude. So it can be just the opposite. And it makes me wonder, what are the antonyms, or what are some of the antonyms for salubrious?
Yeah, and I would just think, words like detrimental, even,
Uh,
because honestly, at that point, it was detrimental to somebody's health to be up there.
yeah.
However, like with anything else we talk about, it's almost like, there are, it's a yin and yang to everything, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can remember even like at a spa in, where was I? New Mexico. It was called 10,000 Waves. It was way, way, way up in the mountains. And we just did the whole, spa treatment, went into a hot tub that was so luxurious and just, felt amazing. And when I tell you I could not drive back down the mountain, I was just like, I don't know if it was dehydrated or if I was just that relaxed or whatever, but
Uh-huh.
I knew I was woozy and it was nighttime and I was not even trying to. So somebody else with my posse had to drive down the mountain.
I just
Yin and yang to everything.
everything. And I took a second, just a quick second, to look up some of the antonyms while you were sharing that story. And yeah, you hit it on the nose with some of the antonyms, but other ones are like insalubrious, which is direct formal opposite,
Right, exactly.
and then unhealthy, unwholesome, harmful, nauseous, pernicious, injurious, unsanitary, unhygienic, even. Okay.
But think about the beginning of this word being all the way back, to Latin, where the folks who were actually starting to really pay attention to health and what that looked like,
Mhm.
and science even. Um, and it meant something to them to associate that word with your health or to your health. And just the idea that they created it thinking, here is, even like as we're toasting, we're saying to your health. That is something that has made that word where we didn't even really know why we were saying it.
Yeah.
And now to kind of dig a little deeper and understand that these words don't just come out of thin air. Somebody actually looked at this word and thought, I can add, salu with, healthy, and make it something that I can share out with other folks. And as a system, we decide that it is a word and this is the meaning for it. And to your point, there's always, a word that is at the antithesis of that.
Yeah, yeah. When I think of Salubrious and the experiences that I've had as of late, some experiences with my wife Tasha comes to mind, and the traveling that we've done. Like when we went to South Africa, that was a salubrious experience.
Yes,
We were right
yes.
there on the Indian Ocean. Our hotel, it was a beautiful hotel. On it had the oversight of that amazing arena, sports arena that they play football. They call football, I
Mhm,
guess.
mhm.
And it was right there. It was almost like you can look out the window at night and it like you could touch it. It was so close. But the peace of mind and the slowing down of the pace and the beauty of nature and the kindness of the people made it really like one of those experiences that I'll never forget. And it was, in that sense, it was a healthy, salubrious experience for.
Right. And those kind of experiences also, when you come back home, you find yourself motivated to try to continue some of those habits that in a few days that you started and felt really good about and felt like they offered positivity to your life. You try to incorporate that and continue on that path,
Yeah,
right?
right, right. And a lot of the stories that you've shared about your travels surely made me think like the fact that you going back to where's France? Is it France?
France,
France, right.
France.
Yeah, you going back to France and how it inspired you to write again, to me that makes me think that that's a salubrious experience for you.
It is so much so. And thank you for even reminding me of that. That's why I come here. It's just like I get a chance to go into a whole nother zone. I'm out of that performance race.
Uh-huh.
So it's hard to write when I'm in the performance race. Though
Uh-huh.
I can do it, it's just harder. And when I take myself out of that, race that I live back home, it gives me a chance to really settle in to myself and, my own thoughts, not the noise of all the other outside distractions.
Yep.
So yes, definitely salubrious, especially not just while Paris is, my happy place. Let's just say it's my happy place.
Yeah.
The country, Honfleur, which is in the Normandy region, and I love to be here because there's really nothing to do but embrace yourself and live with yourself and your thoughts and do those things from a place of solitude. For me, that's what it represents. Definitely salubrious.
I love that because now it ties into something internal instead of external. And the external influences it, but ultimately you being able to sit with yourself and finding your peace and your happiness, that's the highest level of salubriousness that I
Oh,
can imagine.
and hey, it's an inside job too. We talk about that, and when I first arrive,
Yeah,
I can feel like there's a pressure coming down off of me,
yeah,
and it's self-imposed.
yeah.
It's like click your heels, Dorothy. You're already home, right?
Right.
But I feel I've layered all these different things in life that are insalubrious, if you will.
Mhm.
and it's not, it's just living. It's just living and working and moving forward. But this place gives me permission to tone it down and live with my own thoughts. I do have friends here who I can communicate with,
Mm-hmm.
but Gina, I'm gonna tell you something. I can do the alone thing for a minute.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
yeah,
And literally I don't even think about the time here.
yeah,
I just write when I'm motivated. I go eat when I'm hungry,
yeah,
or cook something that I want to eat because everything's fresh and it's amazing. But
yeah.
I end the day, just in a prayerful place
Uh-huh.
and a grateful place, because I feel like I have accomplished so much that I have been wanting to do for months now. So
Yeah.
these little breaks that I take definitely allow me to do that.
You
Totally
know,
salubrious.
you know what I'm curious of? I know that we would typically cut to my word at this time, but I got some questions.
Okay,
You know,
go for it.
like that experience as a visual person, me being a visual person, especially as an artist, when you go to that place and you get to go to those restaurants and walk down those streets, and there is a different kind of history associated with them, and you get to experience and take in all of those things. What is that visual experience like? What is that? Are there places that you go to people watch or get in touch with nature? What is that like?
Yeah, so and on floor is really like a port city.
Uh-huh.
It is a small city, and
Yeah.
actually it's probably more like a township or something like that,
Yeah.
but very well known for being in the Normandy region, which is, the beaches of Normandy, World War II, all of that.
Yeah.
And to your question, there are several places. There are churches that I'll go in and take my journal in there with me.
Mhm.
There are the docks, where the ships, not ships, but boats come in.
Mhm.
So it's so coastal. Actually, where it's set is right where the Seine River meets the English Channel.
Mhm.
So the food is amazing, especially the seafood. Oh my God, it's just the freshest, the most amazing. So I can go to a sidewalk cafe, grab something amazing to eat, and sit and watch people. And the cool thing is, especially if I'm by myself,
Yeah.
people just come up and talk and want to know your story. It's
Really?
just, oh yeah, I always have books with me, so
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
selling books over here, man.
Yeah, I was just like, where in the hell in the world can you sit down and people want to know more about you? Not
Yes, exactly. The world slows down enough and I meet people from all over the world here because of the history of Normandy. They want to come and visit,
uh-huh.
um, but they are interested. And I find that when I'm by myself, people are more apt to even stop and have a conversation or come by my table and say hello or whatever. And we end up talking for hours. I'll
Yeah.
have to tell you the time I literally talked to some people from the Netherlands at a table and ended up missing my bus to go back to Paris.
Yeah.
But at first I was a little upset with myself, but the conversation was absolutely amazing, and I felt like God gave me that gift. Right,
Yep.
I found
Yep.
my way back home. It was
Yep.
all good.
That's
Yeah,
right. It
yeah.
was, hey, that was a part of the lesson. A little.
And again, a salubrious situation that I encountered.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Um, okay. My word, y'all, is autodidactic. And
Autodidactic. Okay.
we can take it to the root, and because I'll probably use it in both contexts. Because for the word is autodidact, which is a noun, but
Yep.
autodidactic is an adjective. And to be an autodidact is a self-taught person. Let me spell it first.
Mhm.
Auto, AUTO, didact, DIDACT, autodidact, a noun. It's a self-taught person. Auto meaning self, and didactic meaning teaching or self-taught, self-educated, someone who learns without formal instruction without institutions, without permission. And the irony is, isn't this who we are? Like, we ain't got the money to be paying to go to all of these institutions and paying for all of these certifications. And prior to a system that was structured in a manner that required you to go through all of these different channels for certification, we were very much a self-taught people in everything. And maybe it was epigenetic, maybe it was passed down genetically, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things that we have within us, there are things that I do that I ain't been trained on, and parts of me know it already. And there are other parts of my mental that I have to learn more. And so I'll dig, we'll go to YouTube University, uh,
Yep.
you know, but we're gonna find a way to make this thing happen that we're interested in, because the part of the irony of me taking to this word is that it's who we are. It's not like the word sounds complex and new for me, but it's not a new concept. It's always been a part of my experience and the experience of my community. So so it drew me in because of the fact that, like, I mean, like, even if we go back to our initial encounter with colonization in the
Yep.
18th colonies,
Yep.
uh, there was somebody telling us, you could plant crops, you could pull this plow, you could pick cotton, but you can't read a book. You can't learn, but learning is not just through books and reading, and it comes through experiences, and it comes through necessity. And a
Yep.
lot of the things that we've created come about as a result of needs
And struggle.
and struggle.
And
And you don't
struggle.
have to get a degree or a certification in order to start solutioning. But it's interesting because, in contrast, the formalization of that concept into this one word, autodidact,
Mm-hmm.
almost leaves you with the impression that in order for you to learn, you have to somehow be educated or taught in a formal institution.
Okay, so you know, people, a baby is born, and you know what? They start mimicking as soon as they get here. They start learning based on seeing what you do, right?
Mhm.
So that tells you that there's already a level of intelligence there.
Intelligent.
Now, place us in, the colonies where we were basically put there to figure things out,
Mhm.
because the people who stole us didn't know it. They didn't know.
Mhm.
And honestly, again, we were basically forced to figure it out, because that could mean the difference between life and death.
Yeah.
And to have to be self-taught with that fear hanging over your head.
Yeah.
We've talked about that kind of, generational trauma that is still part of our DNA.
Right, right.
But what it also does is it gives us a level of confidence in knowing we can figure some stuff out, and we don't need a whole bunch of extra supplies, materials, whatever, to get it done.
No.
Now, pressure, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I'm sure there was a point where you learn something new, or you figure something out, and there's a pride that comes about that.
Yeah.
Now you've learned how to do it, and there's a kid next to you, and so all of a sudden you got an apprentice. They didn't call it that then, but that's what it was. So those skills were definitely passed down.
Oh yeah. I don't remember which show it was, which episode we did, but there was a conversation about how in observation of something that you do, people are always watching, so people are picking up what you do, whether it's positive or negative. And since we were always talking in the positive, we were talking about how the things that you do and you remain committed to, other people observe, and eventually that becomes a part of their practice. They're watching you and they're learning from you. And you mentioned a word that you mentioned intelligence, and it made me think. So it reminded me of an Eckhart Tolle book that I had read, I think it's The Power of Now, or it might have been a New Earth. But either way, similar concepts exist in both books, where he references the intelligence, and the synonym for intelligence will probably be God. Because he's translated it enough for me to recognize when he speaks of intelligence, he's really talking about the essence of God flowing through us all.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and
And God wouldn't create us without giving us the ability to figure things out so that we
period,
can
point blank. Period, point blank. So to confirm that, one of the things he also said was like the intelligence runs through us. We don't have any control or influence over that intelligence. And then he gave examples. You say, you don't breathe, the intelligence breathes for you. Like you can't control your breathing.
Yes,
You can
yes,
try,
yes.
but eventually you're going to exhale and inhale again because the intelligence controls your breathing. You don't
And you don't even think about it.
know.
Absolutely.
And you, and to that point, you don't thinking happens. It's a part of
Yes, I
it.
love that.
Yeah, and so in our reality, being autodidactic is intuitive. It's probably why the word doesn't exist in the culture in any way that I am aware of, because it's intuitive, it's natural, it happens. If you're around and you're experiencing life, the thinking is automatic to finding solutions to get you to your next step
Amen.
in your
Amen.
process.
Amen.
Yeah,
Yep. I love that. Love it.
yeah. So we are autodidactic in nature, and we don't need institutions and certifications to learn or be taught. We're going to learn it because the intelligence or God moves through us for us to learn it, acquire it, and implement it in our daily practice. So that's my word. Marcia, you want to close out the show? I think the recording concluded, and I was just informing the audience that I think we had a technical difficulty. And I was about to conclude the show without you, but since you popped back on, you want to close it out for us?
Oh my goodness. Thanks everybody for joining our show once again. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe so that we can continue to bring content that we are super excited about.
Thank you,
Peace.
Marcia. Peace.
Thank you, Gino.